I'm going to walk you through today one of those attacks which has happened recently and show you how attackers are getting into networks these days and some of the things that you can do to prevent your infrastructure becoming the next victim of a ransomware attack. This organization was lucky. They didn't have a SIEM or SOC solution in place. This infiltration to the domain controller was at 8 o'clock in the evening, and their antivirus was able to flag up enough alerts that raised suspicions amongst the IT team, and they were able to log on quickly and see a remote desktop session onto the domain controller using the Veeam admin account. And seeing that, they immediately shut down the network. So this organization was lucky, but it did highlight, as many of our ransomware recoveries do, that there are gaps in infrastructure, that the way networks are being configured is not good enough to be able to defend against threat actors and their attack vectors that they are leveraging at the moment. That we see that the network layer is overly permissive of connections being able to be made laterally through the network, that storage and back-end systems through VMware and Hyper-V are too readily accessible through the network, and that although there are detection tools in place through the firewall, through antivirus, through SIEM solutions, that actually the response to those or the interpretation of those alerts is not what we would hope it to be in the minutes and hours that are crucial during an attack. We recommend at Syscom that organizations take a review of their architecture. This organization admittedly was a lucky escape, but the attack vectors that were used here, the overly permissive firewall rules allowing connections in from destinations that just didn't have any rightful place accessing this UK-based network, configuration issues with firewalls, configuration issues with VLANs and inter-VLAN routing and segmentation, meant that it was possible to move from a public-facing web server through to the Veeam environment and through to the Active Directory environment without network-level interception. This highlights that there are architectural gaps present that are unquantified in most networks, and threat actors are able to exploit them to move laterally through environments. And we see that always there is technology in place. Organizations have all got firewalls, have all got antivirus, have all got backups, but there are configuration issues with these services, and that when a threat actor group gets hold in the network, they will be able to move through critical pieces of the infrastructure to take out the backups and bypass antivirus technology and firewall technology through misconfiguration and overly permissive settings in those technologies. A key message that we try to help customers with is that reactive systems will eventually not be protective systems. That you may have antivirus, you may have firewalls blocking services and access in and out of the network, but unless we are listening to the indicators of compromise, why did that device try to connect to a malicious IP address? Why did antivirus alert go off on a file server at 3 o'clock in the morning? Unless we are able to hear and filter and respond to those alerts, then the threat actors will eventually be able to find their way around the technology that we have in place. So reactive technology is not enough. We need to be proactive and listen to the telemetry that is coming out of our security solutions so that we can launch a preventative measure or a mitigation against the impending disaster of a threat actor potentially being connected and working inside the network.